From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big early mornings of early mornings LALATE with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check. Now we have the authors behind the monthly stimulus check bill writing a letter to Leader Schumer and Nancy Pelosi saying, do the vote. Call the vote right away. Don't wait another minute. It's incredible great news. We'll be going over that letter. The Democratic senators and Democratic House members who are pushing the vote earlier than initially thought, and the great news across the board. Also, we'll go over the fourth stimulus check, how much you're going to get, when you're going to get it, when you're going to get it. Incredible great news this early morning on LA. Then we cut to the fifth stimulus. And why the breaking news yesterday from the Treasury when they revealed their minutes of their most recent notes suggested incredible great news for fifth stimulus, which increases your SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Rural benefits and attaches an inflationary benchmark. You'll see the breaking news on this one as well. And then we go over the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars land in your bank account starting today. And next week, I have all the incredible great news. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing, and the bill is heating up. I'm really excited for you. Let's get to it. Let's get to the details, starting right now on Early Mornings LALATE. Good morning, everybody. It's Early Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this fourth stimulus check update, we go over the amount of the fourth stimulus check, but the breaking news yesterday, when we saw that letter revealed from the legislators who actually wrote the multiple stimulus check bill, calling the vote sooner than later, saying don't wait a minute longer. And we go over what's going to happen now with the two-step, two-bill process. It's all incredible great news. In the second half of this recording, we go over the fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits if you're on SSI and SSDI. We'll go over why the Federal Reserve's minutes that were released yesterday from their April meeting are incredible great news. And then we go over the big money land in your bank account starting today, continuing this week and the rest of this month. It's just absolutely incredible. This is LALATE, and thank you for joining me on Early Mornings LALATE. LALATE is now a 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel. From Wall Street to Main Street, from crypto to stimulus, it's all covered. I don't want you to miss a single recording across the land. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons, and overnight. At the same time that this show is airing, there's also a live feed, our crypto 9-hour show, so join that after you watch this show. And with that, make sure you subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year. Wow. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. The link's in the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Let's get right to the fourth stimulus check. And we're going to start with the House proposal. But specifically, I want you to look at this graphic, which I've been showing you over the last few days. And you see the top line, Talil and Jalapal. I want you to remember the name Jalapal because you're going to hear the incredible great news in just a second from now. Let's compare the House versus Senate plan if you're tuning in live shortly after 4 o'clock a.m. on the West Coast, 7 o'clock on the East Coast. Get ready to vote. House proposal is a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. So there's 4 more months left of the pandemic, 4 plus 12, 16 more months of stimulus checks. The Senate proposal is stimulus checks from now to December, July to December. That would be 6 months of checks, less checks. But let's compare the monthly amount. The House proposal is $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. The Senate proposal, and the month is unknown. The monthly amount is unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 an individual. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400 an individual. Now, before we get to the breaking news, let's go over why the Senate proposal suddenly looks better than the House proposal. Don't vote yet. I'll ask you a second. House or Senate? House or Senate? Don't vote yet. What's going on? Whether it's New York, California, DC, or major retailers, the mask mandate is being lifted. And now we're leaning and seeing that the pandemic may be over by the time they vote on the bill, which is July. Remember, the House proposal is pandemic plus 1 year. And we always thought there was going to be 3 to 4 months left of the pandemic. Not talking about the virus. I'm talking about the pandemic for legislative purposes. So if that is correct and that the pandemic's done, and done in the next few weeks or done in the next few days, then for all accounts, the vote will happen after the pandemic's over. And the House proposal will be 12 months, not pandemic plus 12 months. So 12 months in the House would be $13,000. And the Senate proposal would potentially be $12,000 also, just in 6 months. So now with that in mind, consider voting. House or Senate? House or Senate? Jump in the live chat if you're watching. If you're watching tape, drop in the comments as well. I'd love to hear comments. And how's the weather where you are? It's beautiful here this morning here in Los Angeles. So now let's get to the amount of the forced stimulus. How much are you going to get? Well, that remains an issue, whether it's a House or Senate, but let's go over who gets it. You do. So you got the third stimulus check, you get the fourth stimulus check. Make less than $75,000 individual, you get the fourth stimulus check. Marry a couple, 150,000 or less, you get the fourth stimulus check, just double it. Household 4 or less, you get the fourth stimulus check. And if you are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits, you get the fourth stimulus check. The amount of the stimulus check would be the same amount for adult dependents and minor dependents, and everyone else. The amount of the stimulus check would not be taken away by taxes because it's not a taxable event. It's not income. It will not be taxable. We know nothing about child support, but we do know it's going by a 2-bill, 2-step, 2-month process. And that process has already got started, and it may finish very quickly. More about that later in this video. But there you are. Remember, I'm a reporter. I just report the news. I'm not a legislator. Their representations are the vote would be in the month of July. That means that you're going to see the first check in the month of July for the month of July, in the month of August for the month of August. There would be no waves of stimulus checks where a check comes a different day and a different week for different people. No, they can't do that. It's a monthly stimulus check. And so there you are, your fourth stimulus check updated 2021. But stay with me. I got a big recording this morning. Stay with me to the very end because guess what? I got a lot of money to get you. Here's a preview of what's coming up in the second half of this recording. Fifth stimulus is heating up. That's that monthly. That is the raising of your benefits on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, and more. But guess what? That raising up your benefits is also tied to inflation on top of that. So they would raise your benefits if inflation is more than 0%, which it's going to be at the end of this year. Now, last Friday, I told you that Jeremy Siegel said the inflationary rate could be 20%, which would be an absolute enormous jump for your benefits. But what are the new details coming out of the Federal Reserve yesterday? And how big is that inflationary rate going to be? I have all those big details coming up in the second half of this recording. All right, now let's get to the big money that starts to land in your bank account and the money you need to get right now. And it starts with third stimulus, not fourth stimulus, but third stimulus. That bill was passed earlier this year. And when it was passed, I said to you, there's going to be $5, $10, $15, $20,000 that you can get. You need to get it. Because we ain't tracking checks on this channel. We're cashing checks. And what I want you to know was at that time was that that's the biggest payout you're going to see in this history of this channel. $5,000 to $25,000 a person, far more than a stimulus check. And guess what? You have to be a purple hawk, I said at the time. Hawk, hawk, and get the money before anyone else. Because there'll be a stimulus stampede. Well, that stimulus stampede is starting. Why? Because that money is landing. $350 billion of that money in your city, county, state, and across the land. So get that pen and paper ready. Let's go over the money that you can get starting right now, and it's rent. Number one, about $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. Where do you get it? 6 places. Get those places and get that pen ready. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall and your state housing authority. Those are the 6 places that you want to look to get that rent assistance. The word you're going to use is rent assistance because of COVID or Biden Economic Recovery Act. Do not use the words stimulus. They won't understand you. That's City Hall, City Housing Authority, County Hall, County Housing Authority, and State Hall, State Housing Authority. About $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. Then there's a couple $100 or $1,000 or so for utilities, mortgage assistance, and also homeowners utility. Let's turn to the next item, and that is money for SNAP. How much is money to SNAP? It's a lot of money. Who can get it? If you generally get a stimulus check, you get SNAP. And what is SNAP? It's money for food. It is money for food. And how much? About $16,000. Yeah, you heard me right, for a family of four in Hawaii. Why so much? Because of a Biden and Trump executive order, they'll raise your benefits 15%. Incredible, great news. So how do you get it? You call 211 and ask for Department of Agriculture to apply. Very easy breezy. So there we go. We got about $16,000 for SNAP and about $5,000 for rent. We're doing really well just to start off, and we're only 10 minutes of this video, but guess what? I got big money starting right now, and I have one viewer who says, I'm ready for this. I'm getting $5,000. I also really appreciate all the nice comments I'm getting from viewers saying they got the SNAP, they got the rent. Keep on pushing. I love it. If you get those success stories, send it to me. It empowers me and makes me feel great that people are getting what they need. All right, now let's go to the incredible great news about that $5,000 that one viewer is getting and that you may be getting as well. This is money being returned back to you from the states. What is it? It is money where they overpaid you for unemployment and then you had to return it back to them to no fault of your own. Let's go over the great details. The federal government has stepped in, Department of Labor, and said to states where they overpaid you money and then asked you to return it back to them, they made a mistake. And they should have allowed you to keep the money. So the federal government has ordered the states to return the money back to you. It's incredible, great news. So here's the example. You were on unemployment, your state paid you monthly benefits, and then suddenly you got an enormous extra surge of money, a couple $1,000s. It was a mistake, a computer error, not your fault. The state told you to return it. You did. Now the federal government has stepped in and said, return it back to you. So you're getting that money back. How? In the account that you have on file with your unemployment department. When? Every state is different. So reach out to your respective state for that information. Incredible news across the board. Guess what? I got other money, and it's coming from another place. And this one is from the federal government. IRS, Treasury. And it's landing in your mailbox. First, let me go over how much. Then I'll go over where. And then I'm going to go over when. First, how much? It is the taxes you paid on your unemployment benefits to the federal government on your 2020 return. Congratulations. It is coming back to you. So how much money is this? Let's get an example. You had $9,000 of unemployment in 2020. You filed a federal tax return. $5,000 was the total tax return, of which $4,000 was taxes just on the unemployment. You're getting a tax return of $4,000. Great, great news. All right, let's go over where. Where's the money going to be? In the mailbox. In the mailbox. A beige or white envelope with a beige check in there. Written IRS or Treasury to you. Refund. It may go on to your direct deposit account if that appeared on your 2020 return. And finally, when. We now know from Treasury it's 3 stages. Stage 1 is single filers with nothing complicated on the return. No dependents, no other refunds. Stage 2 are single filers with dependents and complicated returns. And stage 3 is everyone else, joint filers like husband and wife. So when is stage 1 going to get paid? This week, starting to get paid already. They get paid all the remaining this week. Stage 2 starts later this week, and then stage 3 is the last week of May. Yes, everyone gets paid in the month of May. Incredible, great news. And there you go. Now, why is it important to get that money for rent, utilities, and also homeowners assistance? This brings me to a reality check moment. It is that under third stimulus, this money was provided for you, but it's first come, first serve. It's a stimulus stampede. People are stampeded to get the money. And that's why I said Purple Hawk, 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 get the money. But guess what? It ain't coming back under fourth stimulus. So rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also utilities is not coming back under fourth stimulus. Moreover, the eviction moratorium and the mortgage forbearance is going away at the end of third stimulus, so it's not coming back. They want you to get that money now because they're not going to extend the eviction moratorium, so make sure you get it right now. Which brings me now to the incredible, exciting news about that big developing detail for the fourth stimulus check. And Jalapal. I told you, remember the name Jalapal. Well, guess what? Where Jalapal's name appeared? It appeared in this letter. This letter was written by Jalapal to Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi, calling for the vote. Wow. Generally, the letter is not a substantive letter. It doesn't talk about what needs to be in the fourth stimulus package. What it says is stop waiting around. Call the vote. It's very, very blunt. Just get it done. Let's do the vote. Stop waiting around. And guess what? The letter is signed by about 100 House Democrats. The approximate same 100 House Democrats who signed the letter to the president telling him they're going to put in monthly stimulus checks when they get the fourth stimulus package bill written, supporting Jayapal Powell's monthly stimulus check bill. And just like the couple dozen or so senators who wrote a similar letter to the president saying they're putting monthly stimulus checks in there. Incredible great news. It came out yesterday, the letter, even though it was written the day before, and it was anchored by a series of quotes by Democrats that said, we're not waiting around anymore. Call the vote. Now, what's important to understand is that they all say that the reconciliation process has already started, which I've already told you. They have been writing the bills, and that their legislators, they don't call press conferences every 10 seconds. They don't tell you if they've written 10 pages or 500 pages. They've been working on the bill. They want the call for a vote. They don't want to keep on waiting around. And why they don't want to wait around? Because the Republicans haven't offered a penny more than they offered 3 months ago. It was $500 billion then. It was $500 billion last month. It's still $500 billion. And it hasn't moved. And so what are their comments? Well, Kristen Gillibrand, who's a senator out of New York, said, should we wait any longer? Absolutely not, because we might lose our coalition for human infrastructure. She went on to say, I do not think the White House should delegate or relegate recovery to the judgment of Mitch McConnell, because he will not function in good faith. So it would just be a terrible political misstep. Then Representative Ruben Gallego, who's a Democratic House member from Arizona, said their Republicans are not being even players and Democrats should not wait around for the Republicans. Then came Representative Mark Pocan, a Democrat out of Wisconsin, said, at what point do Republicans seriously come to the table? If Republicans don't come to the table, it doesn't mean Democrats don't serve the meal. I love that expression. And then came Senator Majority Whip Dick Durbin, who basically said, we can still talk with them, but we've got to do the reconciliation. We can have timely negotiations with Republicans, but be prepared to go to reconciliation. And finally, Ro Khanna, the representative out of California, the Democrats said, I think we should move forward with our bill. We also got confirmation yesterday from Nancy Pelosi again that says that July 4th will be the date of the bill. So what's going on? What's important for you to understand is that the collective statement of these legislators is we've been working on the reconciliation. It's nearly done, the writing of it. Get ready to call for a vote. Get ready to call for a vote because Republicans are doing nothing. On the other side, they fully understand what the president's timeline is for optics. What's optics? How it looks to the American public. So what the president's doing for optics is he has personally made a determination that he will continue to meet, which means basically have lunch with, Republicans, which say $500 billion every meeting. $500 billion. He says, no. And he'll continue to have those meetings up to Memorial Day. That's a date that he has given several times and gave again yesterday. And after that, he's not having any more meetings. But for purposes of the legislators, they're saying, fine, you can keep on having those meetings, but we're getting ready to call the vote. We're not going to keep on waiting for this any longer. Incredible great news. The other incredible great news is that I got viewers that have volunteers to help you get rent, utilities, homeowners assistance, and also internet, and they are the community page. They're viewers just like you who volunteer to help you. If you can't find it, make an effort to find it, but if you can't, don't worry. How do you find the community page? It's in the pinned comment to this video. In the description of this video, open up the description, and then you'll see an emoji of a house. Next to it is a link to the community page, news.lalate.com/community. Brings you to a page with a picture of some cats. Lower on the page are the volunteers separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Reach out to them, and they can help you get the money if you're having problems finding it. And stay with me. I look forward to seeing you in 60 seconds from now with the big updates about fifth stimulus and more about what's going on in fourth stimulus on this early mornings broadcast. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well.
Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing. I'm here, you're here, and the vote may be here sooner than later for the fourth stimulus check package. How are you? It's early mornings, LA. I hope you're having a beautiful day. How's the weather where you are? Tell me where you're watching and tell me how the weather is. Love to know where you're tuning in from. This is LA, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. And boy, it's a big morning. A couple hours from now is Mornings LA. Tune into that live broadcast. But right at the same time of this broadcast is the live overnight feed on Crypto Overnights. So after this show, jump into that and interact with your friends. Chat about anything you want to chat about. It's a live chat. So subscribe. Also like this video. 3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. Get access to all the PDFs like that letter that came out yesterday. And let's get to the fifth stimulus package. The fifth stimulus package is really getting exciting. Fifth stimulus is dependent upon the inflationary rate. And I'll go over why that's so important in view of yesterday's breaking developing news. So the fifth stimulus package is including SSI and SSDI reform. It is an add-on to the fifth stimulus, like stimulus checks are an add-on to the fourth stimulus. It would increase your benefits, remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, then remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Let me explain what that means, and then let me go over what happened yesterday with the Federal Reserve. So what does that mean? Basically, they'll raise your benefits up one big time first. And who's you? If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or any other benefits or multiple benefits, raised up one time, that's what they represent. Then they're going to tie your benefits to inflation. What does tie your benefits to inflation means? It means that every December you get a letter saying, hi, we looked at our benchmark and next year we're going to raise you up this, so your check will go up this amount of money next year. So what is a benchmark? This case, what they're doing for fifth stimulus is the benchmark would be inflation. That means that, let's say the inflation rate is 2%. In December, you get a letter saying, hi, we're raising your benefits up 2%. Next year, your check will go up 2%. Here's what you need to know, is that a benchmark never steps down. You never step down for purpose of benefits. So they either raise you up or you stay flat. They never step you down. Now, here's what's happening, is people are having problems figuring out what the inflation rate's going to be in December. But this is where it's getting very exciting. You saw over the weekend, when I reported on Friday, Jeremy Siegel, a professor at the Wharton School of Business, told Broadcast News he thinks that the inflationary rate could be 20%. Wow, that would mean they would raise up your benefits under fifth stimulus and then add a 20% step up in December. And you would never step down, so you would go up 20% a lifetime. But some people think 20% may not happen. Then 2 days ago, we heard from the Atlanta division of the Federal Reserve, where he said his growth rate tracker for December is 10% compared to 4% right now. That ain't 2% inflation, folks. That's like 5 to 6% inflation. Then yesterday, the Federal Reserve released its minutes from its April meeting. That April meeting was before the latest inflation numbers came out last week, the CPI and PPI. And what they say, they said that we may go possibly higher than 2.5%. Wow. So where do I think we're heading at the moment? We look like we could potentially head to 5%. If we headed to 5%, not 20%, but 5%, this is what would happen. They would raise your benefits under the fifth stimulus package that one time. And then the benchmark would kick in December saying, hi, you get a letter for next year's benefits going up an additional 5%. Incredible, great news. Then what's also in the fifth stimulus, they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't stay on benefits and have more than about $3,000 in an account. It's going away. They would remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. It's going away. So if you want to work and make $1,000, $2,000 a month, you can. And finally, they'll remove the marriage penalty. Absolutely incredible. The marriage penalty has penalized people, disqualifying them from benefits because they're married. And so they've also not gotten married. It would go away. The marriage penalty would end, but your marriage would start because millions of Americans have not gotten married, and love would win if you be able to get married and not lose your benefits. Incredible love story and great story across the board. So when would this stimulus heat up and when would it get to a vote? It's a two-step process, 2 month. So September, October done, November likely to hit your account. Incredible, great news. So let's go back to fourth stimulus. And let's go over something which is really important to understand, which is the president's message over the last week, the Janet Yellen's message over the last week, is get it done. But his messaging is speaking to his Democratic caucus, his legislators who are writing the bill, who are already working on the reconciliation. What you're going to see is that the president may continue to have lunches with Republicans who come and say, hi, how are you? He's fine. How are you doing? Good. Do you have a counteroffer? No, I'm still at $500 billion. Okay, no, I don't accept that. See you tomorrow again for lunch. And he'll just continue to do this all the way up to Memorial Day. That's what he said he's going to do. But what's important to understand is that the legislators who are not having press conferences about this have admitted that they have already been writing the bills, that the bills are near completion, and then they want the vote to start immediately. It's very important to understand this because this is not a surprise to viewers of this channel. It's also not a surprise to Leader Schumer, who won that reconciliation process with the parliamentarian earlier this year to get extra recons. He's going to need it for the fourth and fifth stimulus package. And so he now has them. What's also important to understand is that the stimulus check instrument has nothing to do with the reopening of the economy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Now that the economy is reopening, now that the pandemic is ending, now that people are potentially back at work, potentially you're back at work, do you still need a stimulus check? Absolutely. Because you're behind on your bills. You're behind on the bills because you had debt pile up during the pandemic and you have bills that need to be paid off. That's why when we talk about fourth stimulus, unemployment stimulus is not going to come back. Rental stimulus is not going to come back. PEUC, PUA, and FPUC are not going to come back on the fourth stimulus. Unemployment rental stimulus is not going to come back, like rent, mortgage assistance, eviction moratorium, mortgage forbearance. But stimulus checks want to continue. Republican governors and Democrat governors agree that stimulus checks are needed as people get back to work because they're back at work, but they still got debt. And let's look back at that graphic from the Senate proposal and understand why the Senate proposal makes sense with that mindset. It's because the Senate proposal is a larger cash infusion over a shorter period of time. You're back at work, the pandemic's lifted, we're back to normal, but we have debt. And we have that debt from the pandemic. We need to get caught up. If we don't get caught up, we'll have issues. And that's why the Senate proposal makes sense. A bigger cash infusion over a shorter period of time. Which do you like, Senate versus House? Jump in the comments right now. Which do you like, Senate versus House? And tell me where you're tuning in from. And guess what? I'm really excited for you to see you on Mornings LALATE. It's coming up in just a little bit, a couple hours from now. So join me on Mornings LALATE. 2 shows overnight LALATE appeared overnight on this channel. But the live feed on crypto is still playing. So after the show, you can jump into that feed. You can find it on the YouTube, on this channel's YouTube front page. With that, the excitement for fourth stimulus is heating up. In this recording, we went over the fourth stimulus check, how much you're going to get. We went over the vote and why the vote push is heating up now that they see no likelihood of anything but the reconciliation, which has already started. The 2-bill, 2-step, 2-month process. We went over the big money you can get right now and should get because rent assistance is going away. The money coming back to you automatically from the state and the federal government. And then we went over fifth stimulus, the incredible money that will change your life, especially if the inflation rate goes up a lot later this year. So subscribe. I want you part of this channel, the fastest growing one of its kind. 400,000 subscribers in 1 year, a YouTube record. Next up, 1 million. Get us there. Share these videos on Facebook. Share these videos on Reddit and Twitter and everywhere else. Tell people to come on over. Like this video and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power Cow, CLP. The link is in the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Stay informed, stay focused, keep on smiling. Keep on staying focused, and I'll see you a little bit as Mornings LA heats up. Have a beautiful morning and stay with LA for more.